Hey, and welcome to something a little different. So a few months ago, I saw the Call Me Kevin video where he tried to make a city on a single tile that was completely surrounded by water. Naturally, as his videos are chaotic and hilarious, the city was a disaster. But it made me wonder, how hard is it to actually build a successful city while limited to only a single tile? So today we'll be answering the question: can you build a megapolis on a single island tile in City Skylines? For anyone who hasn't played City Skylines, each city you make progresses through milestones as you increase its population. When you reach a new milestone, you unlock new buildings, roads, city policies, and other gameplay features. Your citizens will also get fussier and demand things like healthcare, garbage collection, and not being on fire, as new city services are made available to you. The amount of population needed to meet each milestone is variable, and changes based on what stuff is on the map. I'm not exactly sure how the game calculates it, and the wiki doesn't seem to know either. Megapolis is the final milestone that your city can reach, and the wiki states that it requires a population of between 20,000 and 90,000, depending on what map you're playing on. Keep these numbers in mind, they will come up again later. First things first, I need to make some decisions about how I want my city to be laid out. I've decided to limit myself to using the highway as the only traffic connection with the outside world. So, to mitigate the inevitable traffic backup that's definitely going to happen here, I decided that I would line the outer edge of my island with a high-traffic one-way road. My thinking was that since space is my primary limiting resource, this would be more space-efficient than a roundabout or intersection for getting traffic off the highway. Then there's the issue of water. The corners of the tile are rounded out, so there's a space to fit a few water pumps or waste pumps in each corner. Since these are the only places to pump clean water from, I decided to use inland water treatment plants instead of water waste pumps. And then realized that it didn't really matter that I chose the inland processing plant over the pump, because I placed it way too close to the water and made it polluted and unusable. Whoops. Because space is limited, ground pollution is a pretty major concern. That's why I decided to put my first coal power plant off in the corner next to the waste dumping. My industrial district and most other polluting buildings in the future will go in this corner as well. Now I'm ready to get my first pop settled on the island. The amount of money that I was losing at this point was more than a little alarming. But by waiting a minute or so for my industrial zone to be built up, I was able to make even. Barely. So money is going to be an issue for the first little bit of this challenge. I need it for, well, just about everything. So I extend my industrial district a little closer to residential than I'd like, and add a bit of commercial zoning to buffer my residents from the noise and pollution. Then I started extending my road network a bit. Now, normally I, like any self-respecting City Skylines player, absolutely despise cities made of boring rectangular grids. But this isn't a normal city, and I just don't have the space to be messing around with fancy pretty roadways. While I'm beginning to lay down some more roads, the city reaches 500 population and becomes a little hamlet. That was fast. But it's the first milestone, so of course it's gonna be easy. I've still got a long way to go, and I'm sure future milestones will be harder to get than just slapping down more residential districts. So, Little Hamlet. This is where the real game begins. With the first milestone, the first of the basic city services are unlocked, as well as the ability to raise taxes, which I do immediately, so I'm making a much more comfortable amount of cash. I also slapped down a dump and a hospital so the citizens don't angry tweet at me. I also put down an elementary school, the first of many. So many. While building out my grids, I decided to upgrade my roads to have sidewalks. My reasoning being that if there are sidewalks, then people would be more likely to walk, and that would hopefully reduce traffic. No idea if that actually made a difference or not, but it's the thought that counts. As I was doing that, I got up to 900 population and became a worthy village, which unlocked the last two of the basic city services, police and fire departments. And a bunch of industry specializations that I won't be using for the city, because they all require a lot of space. At this point, I began to suspect that maybe this wasn't going to be as much of a challenge as I initially thought, because I'd only been playing for about 15 minutes and I was already at milestone 2. But surely it's just because I'm so early in the game. I'm sure that the next milestone will be much more, oh look, now I'm a tiny town. At this milestone, the only important unlocked for this challenge is the high school and library. There are also new parks and terraforming options, but I don't need any of that today. I am gonna need all the education I can get for when I start putting in high-density districts and offices. After adding yet another coal plant, I get yet another milestone while in the middle of trying to lay down some new residential districts, because the demand for houses is currently through the roof. So, it's a boomtown, and with the new title comes a whole bunch of new transportation options. I'm not going to be using most of them because I don't want to add new out-of-town connections, but I will be taking advantage of public transportation in the form of buses to reduce traffic a bit. I spent longer than I'd like to admit staring at these two houses, trying to figure out why they were having problems with crime and garbage, while literally no one else in the city did. Then I realized that they were on a one-way road that was completely inaccessible by all city services. So I made this big, ugly, curved road to let people get to the other side of the highway, and to make that area actually livable. Then I actually complete my one-way road loop. While checking for traffic jams, I got up to 3,000 population, which turns the town into a busy town. And now I've got trees, roads with trees, they're beautiful. Also some upgraded city service buildings, but who cares about those? Since traffic was already starting to be a bit of an issue, I upgraded my entire one-way street loop to a 4-lane road. I also upgraded all the smaller streets in my residential zones to have glorious trees. It looks so much better. This actually does have a gameplay benefit other than just looking way nicer. Roads with trees increase the land value of the area and let buildings level up, which makes citizens happier. I also put in a bus line going through the city to try to help reduce traffic even further. Power was becoming to be an issue again, so I tried to wedge some of those hydro wind turbines into the watery corners of the tile. And there it is, 3,600 pop and big town status achieved. Having only 600 pop between busy town and big town seemed a little dumb, so I checked what the pop requirement was for Megapolis, and wow, really? 14,000? That's it? Huh. Okay, well, this is gonna be way easier than I thought. I've got access to high-density districts now, so things are really gonna kick into overdrive. The hardest part of transitioning from low-density to high-density is that high-density residential pops require high-density commercial zones and office buildings. High-density commercial zones and office buildings both require educated, well-educated, and highly educated workers. Currently, 73% of my population is completely uneducated, but as long as I have enough schools to handle the capacity of my population, they will slowly, very slowly, convert from uneducated to educated and beyond. Even before putting down my first high-density districts, I was already short on educated workers, and this problem is gonna get a hell of a lot worse before it gets any better. With 2 blocks of high-density housing, I went from about 3,700 to 4,400 population and hit the small city milestone. Yeah, I'm not gonna end up using anywhere close to this entire tile, am I? Garbage was starting to pile up in the streets because I didn't have enough garbage trucks, so I built a secondary dump closer to the high-density areas, and this area would be the bane of my existence for the rest of the challenge. I put in a bunch of offices and high-density residential surrounding it so that I wouldn't accidentally build any apartments right next to the dump and start a plague. And for the rest of the game, I was constantly bulldozing abandoned buildings because it takes so damn long for people to get educated.
Meteorologists are issuing
Disaster
a thunderstorm warning
strikes.
for the coming
Or
days.
that's what the game said at
Citizens are
least.
advised-
All I could see was a mild thunderstorm that set a couple trees on fire out in the wilderness. Before I knew it, I was already at 8,000 population and hitting the capital city milestone. At this point, I'm pretty sure I could have just slapped down some residential districts in a shitty grid and won the challenge, but where's the fun in that? Instead, I continued to beat my head against a brick wall trying to educate these dumb little meeples. While putting in a second bus route through my high-density area, I hit 9,500 pops, which clearly means that I've got a colossal city. I put a blimp depot to make use of the educational advertisement policy, because obviously when children stare up at blimps that tell them to respect broccoli, they become better students. Boom, Metropolis. 12,000 population was pretty damn simple, and we're only 2,000 pop away from Megapolis, which took a grand total of 10 minutes to get. Now, the city certainly isn't perfect. It's made of ugly rectangles, its population is woefully undereducated, and garbage is perpetually piling up on the roads in certain areas. But it is surprisingly easy to create a megapolis on a single island tile. I think I might try this challenge again on a normal map where milestones are harder to get, because towards the end this was just kinda boring. It took a little less than 2 hours to get all the way from nothing to Megapolis, and no strategy really ended up being needed. So, can you create a Megapolis on a single island tile in City Skylines? Yeah, you definitely can. It's actually super easy, barely an inconvenience. But this game is fun, and I had fun playing it in a new way. So, that's gonna do it today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.